Now, ABC 7 News at 5 on your side.
Another busy and loud day on the streets of Baltimore nearly 2 weeks after Freddie Gray died in police custody. Now, this morning, Baltimore State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby announced that all 6 police officers involved with Gray's arrest will face charges. Those charges range from misconduct in office to second-degree depraved heart murder. The representatives of the Fraternal Order of Police spoke in the last hour and said that the charges are a rush to judgment. We're standing by at this hour right now for Freddie Gray's family. We expect they will be having their own press conference, and they'll have their own comments about the events of the day. We have team coverage of the city in crisis tonight. We've got Suzanne Kennedy, Stephen Cheetah, and Horace Holmes all here in Baltimore at various points. But let's begin now with Maryland Bureau Chief Brad Bell. He first broke the details of that police report into Gray's death just more than 24 hours ago. Brad, give us the latest.
Yeah, Leon, we are at the Reginald Lewis Museum just east of Baltimore's Inner Harbor, and we're waiting to hear from lawyer Billy Murphy, who represents the Gray family, as well as Richard Shipley, who is Freddie Gray's stepfather. As you said, it has been a day of extraordinary events. We talked a little bit yesterday about some of the findings of the medical examiner's report. And the state's attorney today, in combination with her own investigation, the police investigation, and that ME's report, decided that she could go ahead and charge the 6 officers who dealt with Freddie Gray on the morning of April 12th. And I'm taking a look over my shoulder. We're going to be beginning this press conference in just a moment. You can take a look at the video. What the police have determined was that the 6 officers had no reason to arrest Mr. Gray. He had a knife, but the knife was perfectly legal. He committed no crime. His arrest, unlawful. He went into medical distress, and yet the police offered no assistance, and he suffered a life-ending injury in the back of that van. We want to know now. Go to Mr. Shipley at the podium.
Good afternoon. First, we will hear from the representative of the Gray family, who has brief remarks to make. Then I'll make brief remarks, and then we'll take a handful of questions.
My name is Richard. I'm one of Freddie's 2 fathers. We are satisfied with today's charges. These charges are an important step in getting justice for Freddie. And we ask that whoever comes to our city, a city that we love, a city that we live in, come in peace. And if you are not coming in peace, please don't come at all. Because this city needs to get back to work. The last thing that Freddie would want is to see the hard-working people of Baltimore lose their jobs and businesses because of his death. You all know that would totally defeat the purpose of what we are trying to work towards. Remember, without justice, there is no peace. But let us have peace in the pursuit of justice. Thank you.
Today is a momentous step on the road to justice for Freddie. In losing Freddie, the Gray family has been put through real hell. One can only imagine the tremendous pain and suffering that this family has endured. For the parents' loss of a son and the sister's loss of a brother. Freddie was taken too early and too horrifically. And the worst of the Gray's family days in the history of this family have been the last 3 weeks. Today has given the Gray family a measure of hope. We thank the state's attorney and her team for their unprecedented courage and their measured and professional response to this crisis. They have our gratitude in their pursuit of justice. However, we must be mindful that this is a first step, not the last. But while the state's attorney's office continues to do its work, the community, this community, and other communities like it all over the country have much work to do of their own. The overwhelming number of people who have protested over these many days did not know Freddie personally. But they and the people of Philadelphia, New York, Cincinnati, and numerous other cities, numerous other towns, and numerous rural areas are expressing their outrage that there are too many Freddie Grays. And if Freddie Gray is not to die in vain, we must seize this opportunity to reform police departments throughout this country so that there are no more days and times like this. It is now time for every city, including our own, to make all citizens of this country treated with human dignity, unaffected by color, religion, gender, income, or of the other irrelevant differences that wrongly exclude them from the human family. Let us make this the overarching meaning of justice for Freddie. Freddie's family is gratified that the ministers, elected officials, and others have stepped into the streets to counsel peace. But the family is especially gratified that the young people of America are showing us the way. They are firm, strong, and bound together in a mission for change. Our young people have friends, classmates, relatives, spouses, and co-workers from all races, all colors, all sexual orientations, all religions, and all incomes, who have enabled them to see with unmistakable and unprecedented clarity that we are all members of one race, the human race. With every ounce of their being, they express this universal desire for one country, one people, and they will fight peacefully until that goal is realized. But with all these unprecedented experiences comes enormous responsibility, because most of us have never been in a place like this before. Our young people must show us the way thoughtfully, creatively, and peacefully. As three of the greatest leaders in recent history, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and Nelson Mandela, have taught us, the only lasting response to evil is love. Freddie Gray's family thanks you for the love you have shown them. Now let us all show them the fruits of that love, real and lasting progress. The lasting changes we make will be Freddie's legacy. And the changes we make in Baltimore can set the example for this nation. We can start with body cameras. We can continue with tough and enforceable regulations for the on switch, never to be turned to the off switch inappropriately. We shall demand better hiring, better training, better oversight, and a new culture of policing. Yes, a new culture of policing, where good policing is rewarded and bad policing is punished. Where bad policemen fear committing misconduct because good policemen no longer fear preventing it, correcting it, reporting it, or prosecuting it. The blue wall of silence, which makes policemen wrongfully conspire to conceal evil, must come down. In the days ahead, we will be inviting police experts, community leaders, rank and file officers, and others who have seriously studied what must be done to join us in what we hope will be a new Baltimore, to create and implement these reforms so that they will be a model for the nation. We must seize this moment. Only this kind of lasting progress, a truly lasting progress, a permanent lasting progress, can assure Freddie Gray's family and the rest of us that Freddie's death was not in vain. Let us pray for Freddie's family, and let us pray that God will guide us to do His will or her will in the pursuit of justice, so that this country will surely be and truly be a place where everyone, regardless of their color or whatever difference may be superficially apparent, can get liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, and we'll take your questions.
What is your reaction to the order?
Man, you fast.
Well, that is Attorney Billy Murphy. He represents the Gray family, speaking here, reacting to the charges brought against 6 police officers today. He's hoping for a lasting change. He's grateful that the charges have been brought. We heard from Richard Shipley, who is the stepfather of Freddie Gray. He said essentially the same thing, hoping for lasting change, grateful to the community, but he also had some very sharp words with regard to protests and the potential for additional violence. And he says, if you don't plan on coming in peace to this town, don't come at all. So we want to get back to what we were talking about at the beginning, and that is this extraordinary turn of events today that saw charges levied against the police officers who handled Freddie Gray on that April 12th morning. The state's attorney, Marilyn Mosby, 35 years old, today stunning the world by saying that based on the evidence she had from the medical examiner, her own investigation and the police investigation, that she was ready to charge the police officers involved.
The findings of our comprehensive, thorough, and independent investigation, coupled with the medical examiner's determination that Mr. Gray's death was a homicide, which we received today, has led us to believe that we have probable cause to file criminal charges.
And so those officers were charged. All 6 of them have now turned themselves in. All are suspended without pay. State's attorney saying that from the get-go, there was absolutely no reason to detain Mr. Gray at all, and those officers caused his death. Leon, we want to head back on over to you at this point.
All right, you got it, Brad. And as you mentioned, that announcement this morning by Mosby, by State's Attorney Mosby, was stunning, and it elicited reaction and responses from across the country. Here's what President Obama had to say today from the White House.
What I think the people of Baltimore want more than anything else is the truth. That's what people around the country expect. And to the extent that it's appropriate, this administration will help local officials get to the bottom of exactly what happened.
Now, that announcement today, no doubt, is going to add some extra fuel to the excitement that's been building throughout the day in anticipation of the protests that are already being planned. Other demonstrations are still on schedule to be held today. As a matter of fact, there's one underway right now at McKeldin Square downtown, and we also have gotten word that a protest is planned tonight at Park Heights and Cold Spring Lane. So we'll see how this all feeds into what we see play out tonight here. Suzanne Kennedy has been gathering and checking the reaction from the streets here all day since that announcement was made this morning. And Suzanne is here now to share what she's hearing. Suzanne, what are you hearing right now?
we are hearing a sense of relief here tonight. I am here at Pennsylvania Avenue and West North Avenue. Let me just take you around here and show you a little bit about what's going on. People are gathered on all of the corners. We have sort of a carnival-like atmosphere here. This has been going on for 6 hours here. We want to take you back and show you what was going on a little earlier when all of this started today. We have some video to show you. And earlier today, we saw rival gangs coming together right here in the middle of this intersection, talking about what can be done in the future, how they can improve things in light of what has happened over the last week here. People were moving through the area, rallying together, pumping their fists in the air, honking horns, moving up and down the street. There was a general sense of jubilation. I had a chance to talk to many people here today, and this is what they had to say about this morning's announcement.
This is a big deal in our community, and we're very happy with the outcome. So we're all going to have a big party for Freddie tonight.
I'm satisfied with it, long as they was charged with, for wrongdoing, They messed up, they was wrong, long as they was charged, I'm happy.
It's just a few bad seeds that need to be wiped out, and they wiping them out. I'm so happy. Yes! Yes!
Back now, we've seen people here in the crowd, and they are having signs like this one. The time for justice is always right now. This one over here, no one should be deprived of life, liberty, and land without due process. And I want to show you back here in the crowd. I want to show you this T-shirt. Excuse me for just a second, ma'am. This one right here. This has been what we have seen people putting on all day long here. It says, "I bleed Baltimore." It means something different to different people, depending on who you talk to. And real briefly, what does it mean to you? I bleed Baltimore.
We bleed Baltimore. We love Baltimore. We support Baltimore. We bleed Baltimore.
Everybody is grabbing these T-shirts, putting them on. A sense of unity here this evening. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Suzanne. Now let's get to a few of the figures that have been in the imaginations and in the frustrations of many of those Baltimoreans who are now wearing those T-shirts about how they bleed for this city. We now understand that all 6 officers are right now at the Baltimore City Jail. And we also understand that a number of people have assembled there in anticipation of their arrival because they have thought about these men, but now they want, and woman, and now they want to see them. Our Stephen Cheetah is standing by there now live. Stephen?
Well, we've been out in front of the Baltimore City Jail for hours here, monitoring the comings and goings through that secure entrance right over there. We do now understand from jail officials here that all 6 of these police officers are at the jail. Now, throughout the day, a number of people gathered here in front of the jail to celebrate.
All night, all day, we will fight for Freddie Gray.
Outside the jail, cheers for the arrest of 6 Baltimore police officers, one facing murder charges.
America is going to see police officers with mugshots.
Among the group circling the jail and chanting the mother of Trayvon Martin, the young man killed in a confrontation with a security guard in Florida.
For some reason, this is open season on African-American men. I want to know, when is the season going to be over?
We went to Officer Caesar Goodson's Catonsville neighborhood. The police officer now faces second-degree murder charges.
It is so shocking because I know him as just waving at him. And, he's been friendly to us,
Back live now, you can see still a very strong police presence here outside of the jail. Now, as far as these 6 officers, they will remain here at the jail. Their next step will be an appearance before some kind of magistrate, a bond, a bail hearing. They will do that via video conference, so they will at least be in this jail for the next 24 hours or until they face bond or post bond, or otherwise they will remain here. Reporting live, Stephen Cheetah, ABC 7 News.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Now, let's go now over to City Hall. People have been gathering there as well, watching the events of the day play out there. Let's go over there now. Tom Rousey is standing by. Tom, what's the scene there?
Well, Leon, we have a crowd that has been growing throughout the afternoon, but now folks are just starting to leave to march back to the Inner Harbor, which is where a march began earlier. You see some of the folks out here with their signs who just attended a rally that lasted well over an hour here, and again, it grew for just about that hour there. So we're going to start walking here and show you where some of these folks are marching towards the Inner Harbor that way. Here's video of when they were marching earlier. This is started at the Inner Harbor, went down Pratt Street, wound up at Baltimore City Hall here. As far as the mood, Leon, you asked about that. I can say it's not necessarily a jubilant mood, because a lot of folks say, you know, this is not over because these are just charges. Now it has to go through a court of law, and also they say in the broader sense of things, there's still so much more work for their cause to be done. So it's not jubilant, but that said, it is a hopeful mood, and they think a lot of positive developments came today. Here's what one of the protesters who came out today had to say. Get the music?
This is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So this is one development in a process, and we'll see how it unfolds. But it's a step in the right direction for this particular case.
And back out here live, you see even a band came with one group of marchers that came here to City Hall this afternoon. So again, a lot of folks very pleased with the developments today among these protesters, but they say even this case is far from over, and their cause as a whole still has a long way to go, according to the protesters who came out. Reporting live from Baltimore City Hall, I'm Tom Rousey, ABC 7 News.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Tom. And I want to tell you, those thoughts that you've been hearing there at City Hall have been echoed over here at Pennsylvania and North Avenue. We've heard the same exact thing from people here who were saying they're happy, they're celebrating, they're in fact relieved because of the developments today, but they all say the same thing. This is just the very beginning. It's just the first step. Now, we're going to be closely monitoring all the events, all the activities here in Baltimore. We're really looking to see what happens here in the evening as the protests now begin to build and as the sun goes down. Coming up this hour, we'll take you to any of those protests that pop up. But then coming up at the bottom of the hour, we want to take you and give you a sense of what we heard today from Baltimore's mayor and Maryland's governor. So we'll keep you posted on all of those developments and everything that we hear here from Baltimore. That's all for now. From here, Scott and Allison, back to you in the studio.
Okay, Leon, thank you very much. And we'll check back in with you once again shortly.